The Renaissance was a time of rebirth and expansion for religious interpretation, scientific discovery, exploration of new lands, and the flourishing of the arts. It was a period between the 14th and 16th centuries that devalued the medieval era before it in favor of a new and brighter era that would draw inspiration from the Greek and Roman traditions of antiquity. A great paradigm shift from the dark medieval times occurred. It would produce innovative thinkers such as Nicholas Copernicus, Desiderius Erasmus, and the Renaissance artists that would become some of the most recognizable and well-loved masters in the world. The Renaissance took place primarily in Italy, but its innovation and ideas reached far and wide. The medieval values that came before it encouraged obedience and faith in authority. The Renaissance was a complete shift and placed high value on knowledge and personal responsibility. The art during this time is known for its realistic scenery, linear perspective, and its innovative light and dark shadowing, known as chiaroscuro. The Renaissance began as a literary movement, with the texts of antiquity being rediscovered, but it was quickly picked up by the visual arts and sciences. Italy's intermingling between math, science, and art during this time led to the discovery of perspective in the arts. Perspective was an achievement that allowed new space to be configured in the paintings. Flat and stacked space was replaced with mathematically accurate images with dimension and depth. One example of a Renaissance painting before three-dimensional perspective is Angelo Gatti's The Coronation of the Virgin. Painted around 1370, the Coronation of the Virgin depicts 6 angels witnessing a central scene of Jesus crowning his mother Mary after her death on earth. The painting is highly detailed and features bright pastel colors and a background of radiant gold. However, the depiction is overall flat and reminiscent of the two-dimensional religious illustrations found in medieval Bibles. Masaccio's Holy Trinity is the earliest surviving painting to use linear perspective to accurately represent an architectural space. A chapel where God, the Virgin Mary, and St. John the Baptist witnessed the crucifixion of Christ. The realism of the painted chapel's depth would have impressed viewers at the time, same as 3D movies do today. The Church, as one of the most powerful and wealthy institutions in Italy, was able to commission artists to create sculptures and architecture that adorned and served church iconography and function. Christian saints were painted and sculpted to replace Byzantine mosaics and murals with Greek mythological imagery, but direct influence from antiquity on form and technique was still visible. Using antiquity as a backdrop, artists began incorporating and fusing the Christian iconography with the Greek and Roman symbols and imagery. This was most apparent in the work of Botticelli. During this time of flourishing artistic achievement, Italy saw the rise of powerful individuals and families. Italy was not a unified state during the time of the Renaissance, and while the church had considerable power and wealth during this time, the Medici family, owners of Europe's largest bank, became the most powerful dynasty in the region. Gaining their power through banking, the Medici were such a rich and political dominating force that they were able to commission hundreds of works of art and have powerful influence within the church. Prominent artists and thinkers sponsored by the Medici family include Masaccio, the painter who perfected and popularized one-point linear perspective, Fra Angelico, Donatello, and even masters like Galileo, Leonardo da Vinci, and Michelangelo. Although the Renaissance was already spreading like wildfire across northern and western Europe on its own, it was helped along by the Medici's power and influence. Leonardo was the quintessential Renaissance man. He was skilled as an artist, scientist, and architect. His interest in worldliness, beauty, love of learning, and the ideals of antiquity led him to create novel and breathtaking work. His best-known work, and among the most famous paintings in the world, is The Last Supper, painted on the cafeteria wall of the Santa Maria del Grazie convent in Milan. The Last Supper portrays Jesus' last meal on earth with his disciples. The disciples are riddled with surprise and angst because Jesus has just revealed to them that one of them will betray him and he will die. Leonardo's work remains in the canon of artwork, but due to his constant experimentation, his works are falling apart today, and many of his ideas led to failure or never saw fruition. Michelangelo was much like Leonardo, but instead of exploring all avenues, he concentrated his skill in the arts. Although his true passion and ingenuity was put into sculpture, he designed exquisite architecture as well, and made one of the most famous paintings of all time on the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel. The Sistine Chapel took Michelangelo 4 years to complete, between 1508 and 1512. The expansive ceiling features paintings of biblical stories such as Jonah and the whale, Adam and Eve, biblical prophets, the ancestors of Jesus, and God's creation of the world, which includes one of the most famous paintings at the central point of the ceiling, the creation of Adam. The creation of Adam depicts God, a gray-bearded man accompanied by angels, extending his finger to Adam's outreached finger to animate him with life. The Sistine Chapel is a testament to Michelangelo's skillful depiction of intense emotion and advanced understanding of human anatomy. Michelangelo had a distinct style that matched finesse with stunning virtuosity. A rival painter of Michelangelo's, Raphael, decorated the walls of the Catholic Pope's library in the Vatican between 1509 and 1511. One of these Vatican walls features the School of Athens, Raphael's masterpiece. The School of Athens demonstrates Raphael's mastery of linear perspective in its realistic depiction of an elegant cross-shaped building crowded with philosophers, artists, and patrons. In the painting, philosophers like Plato, Aristotle, Epicurus, and Pythagoras debate philosophical questions and read from philosophy books. Statues of Apollo and Minerva feature prominently in the school, inviting viewers to contemplate the relationship between religion and philosophy. The Renaissance was the beginning of an exploration in style and virtuosity that can be traced through the next 300 to 400 years in the arts. The names of Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, and Raphael still hold sway today, and their work has become standard in the history of the world. The Renaissance set in motion a series of inquiries and discoveries that radically changed the world and ushered in a new way to approach the world. What followed the Renaissance in art was the Mannerist period. Mannerism continued the legacy of the Renaissance through its use of rich, bright colors, religious and mythological subjects, and highly detailed works. However, it moved away from the realism of the Renaissance and towards distorted figures that aimed to emulate otherworldly ideals. The individualistic focus, mathematical and scientific exploration of the Renaissance continues to influence our world today. The Renaissance created a path that led to what we consider modernity, and subsequently, the contemporary world.